Hi everybody, it's Kendrick from Providence Tarot, and I'm coming to you for your second week of November with your weeklies. So this is the Queen of Swords, right? This is Cardinal Air, and that would be Libra, and this is actually 1/3 of Virgo. So this is talking about taking a detailed, critical analysis to something, but it's kind of like you're waiting for the information so that you can express yourself truthfully. Some of you may not have all of the information that you wish for or that you want, right? Or you may even know that you just don't have all of the information. It may not even be that you want more information. You just don't really know what the other information is. You know what I mean? You're waiting for it. You don't know what they're going to say. Also, this is kind of like you being poised and ready, you know? Also, it kind of talks about facing the truth. So everybody, whichever card that you get for this second week, it's going to be talking about expressing the truth, expressing your truth. Also, it talks about nurturing, right? Nurturing your truth, right? Nurturing your understanding for your truth, because when you think about what your truth is, you kind of have to trust it, and there's a little bit of risk there, right? So this is talking about being ready, being poised, honoring your ability to make critical, detailed decisions, right? Being fair. And it also is talking about, habits, right? And also kind of like, how you deal with your habits, how you have like a healthy rhythm of your habits. What are they? Do you even know what they are? Do you have a habit with people, socially, because sometimes we have social habits. It's kind of like behavioral norms that we've cultivated for ourselves that other people just kind of see as things that maybe, they may see as an imbalance, because the Queen of Swords is Libra, and that is talking about in a need to balance out a situation. So this could even be a need for honesty. Some of us, or maybe all of us, may, feel like we just need to have some conversations. Maybe there's some networking that needs to happen for some of us. For some of us, we're dealing with, just talking to others truthfully, maybe listening to what others have to say, because the Queen of Swords is really kind of talking about listening, right? Because she has to receive in order to express how she is going to respond or react to whatever truth is being given to her, right? And then she's 1/3 of Virgo as well. So this is talking about, oh, okay, well, now I'm looking at it in a different way. I'm going to have to be adaptable. This is also talking about being flexible for a lot of us. Everyone who's watching in regards to your card and however this card correlates to that card, it really is about being flexible in your mind, but then it's also talking about being flexible in your mind so that you can be flexible in your actual physical life, right? Because if you can change your perspective and allow yourself to become more flexible, like the scales that the Queen of Swords, which is Libra, represents, then you'll be able to make more choices. You'll feel informed, right? It's about being knowledgeable right now. So what is that information and what are you going to do with it? Aries, your card for the second week of November is the Eight of Cups. This is Saturn in Pisces, and Pisces is a sign of karma, and Saturn is the planet of karma. And Eight of Cups is talking about the psyche, because we're dealing with Mercury on the Tree of Life in the 8th position, and this talks about power, determination, will, drive, obsessiveness perhaps. The 8 is related to the 8th house of Scorpio. This is talking about loss, and this is talking about being able to understand whatever situation that you find yourself in. You might have to be willing to let go of it. It's also talking about showing compassion to someone or showing compassion to yourself. You know what I mean? The 8s do have to deal with that Martian energy of the 8th house being Scorpio, and then Saturn is actually a planet of karma, and it really does teach us a lot of lessons that we need to learn, right? So this could be a lesson that you need to learn in terms of compassion, right? And also power and an understanding of your power, because sometimes you might be giving your power away to a situation out of a need to understanding or show love or unconditional love to something. This is also talking about healing yourself from a situation that you may have outgrown. So you might be feeling like you've outgrown the situation, but you're still kind of there because you're fixed on it. Just like I was talking about the 8th house being Scorpio, that is a fixed water sign. So this is saying that you're you're fixed in your emotions with something, right? Your emotions are controlling you, right? But then it's also saying that you need to be able to see where you need to be flexible, just like the Queen of Swords, which is 1/3 of Virgo, which is a sign that's opposing this card, this sign, Pisces. Virgo opposes Pisces. So there could be some opposition here, with you experiencing whatever this is that you might be sacrificing or undoing or submitting to, because that is Pisces. You might just be realizing how it's making you feel. And Saturn is saying you should feel like this because you've set yourself up to feel like this, because you might have been attached to something, right? There might have been some codependencies there, right? Within like how it made you feel or what it might have been contributing to you, maybe artistically or maybe creatively or maybe, and when I say artistic and creatively, I mean spiritually. So this is like, a spiritual lesson for you. What are you willing to give up so that you can move on to something that might be bigger and better, that is a part of this more mature, more seasoned version of yourself? It really is about building oneself, right? Taurus, your card for the second week of November is the Queen of Wands, and this is a very fiery card. Although she is part water because she's a queen related to the Empress, she is also fire, okay? And this is cardinal fire. So this is Aries. And the card that we got for the week for everyone was Libra. So you could be experiencing some opposition, Taurus, perhaps with a Libra, a Virgo. It could be an Aries because this card represents Aries, or it could even be a Leo because Aries and Leo both share planets, right? The sun is exalted in Aries, the sun rules Leo. Pluto is traditionally, in some scholars' eyes, a ruler of Aries, and Pluto is exalted in Leo. It could also even be a Scorpio for some of you that you might be feeling this opposition with. It could be a boss. It could be someone that you feel like might have some power or control over you. Or the Queen of Wands could be how you're acting and how you're behaving. So there might be a blockage here because you are, Aries is your 12th house, Taurus, and that talks about blockages, undoing, submitting, sacrifice, not being able to control certain things because they might be, there might be some confusion or maybe even delusion that's getting in the way of you being able to see whatever it is. You know what I mean? And also, it could even be Leo, right? And that's squaring you, so that's bringing some tension. And then it could also even be Scorpio, because Pluto is a planet that is, it resonates with Leo, Aries, and Scorpio energy. So this is something that like somebody needs to just really let go of whatever kind of power or control they might have, or they might think they have, or they might want to have. You know what I mean? This is kind of like somebody just doing too much, perhaps, or it could just be somebody being, too bossy or perhaps too bitchy or something like that. Maybe this is you. Maybe you had to be this way. Maybe you had to sort of be a little bit vigilant because, of whatever it was that was challenging you. This is also a great business card, so you could be lighting a flame to carry a torch, you know what I mean? And it really might be very interesting for you because you do have, a lot of will, a lot of strong will in this card in particular. Okay, Taurus? Gemini, this is your card for the second week of November. You got the Three of Pentacles. Okay, so you're thinking about work and you're thinking about money and you're thinking about how you can have more pleasure or you could be more satisfied with your work and with your money, Gemini. You're starting to see how other people might be valuing whatever it is that you might be doing, a skill or a trade, or perhaps maybe even something creatively like some sort of art form, right? It is a a 3, so it's related to the Empress, so it's talking about expressing something. And maybe there needs to be some communication that happens in terms of like, the process of you creating this thing, right? The 3s are talking about trining energy that sort of creates harmony. This is really working here. People are understanding each other and understanding, their role, right? It's Mars and Capricorn. So it's talking about career oriented things, and it's also talking about money. It's talking about how you actively pursue career and money, and what are your intentions, how are you asserting yourself. I'm seeing that you're getting a job well done. People are taking notice of this work that you're doing, or people are taking notice of the strong will that you have in order to create something of substance, right? And you could even be trying to protect something, because it is a 3 and it's related to the Empress, which is talking about protecting something. Okay, the 3rd house is Gemini, and that could be talking about siblings, right? Or somebody you may feel like is a sibling, or like maybe a cousin, that type of thing. It could even be like a boss. A boss could be seeing you doing something. There could even be some sort of like career advancement here, because this is talking about something that is in like a gestation process, or like it's sort of like growing, right? It's building, and whatever it is that's growing and building is actually going to come into its full form, and we'll be able to see it for what it really is. You know what I mean? Whether it's a job for you, whether it's that you're trying to have a baby, or maybe you're trying to get pregnant or something like that, because Gemini does rule the 3rd house of children. This is sun, moon, rising. So you could be a Gemini sun, moon, or rising, or you might even have your sun in your 3rd house. Okay? That's it for you, Gem. Cancer, your card for the 2nd week of November is the 6 of Pentacles. And as you can see, it looks like money is growing on trees here in the winter. It's a 6, so it's related to your job. It's related to your daily rhythm, what you do for a living, perhaps. You know what I mean? More so job and what you do for a living, and not necessarily career, but it could be that. This is investing in something, investing your time in something, and also your interest in something. What card is this? This is Moon in Cancer. Not Moon in Cancer, Moon in Taurus. Okay. I got excited because Cancer, you rule, the moon is, your planetary ruler, right? And the moon is actually exalted in Taurus. So it's a very dignified position, right? It uplifts the energy of security and feeling like you have the things that you need. Things are being provided for you. There's some sort of reciprocity here, right? Things being gained, and then there's like a fluctuation of things, okay? Because the moon evolves and it changes, but Taurus is a fixed sign. So this could be allowing ourselves to change in ways that we know that we need to change. You know what I mean? Or this could be something that we, change that, is welcomed. You know what I mean? Because you can see how their hands are open, right? For this change, literally, coins that they're receiving in their hands, and you can see it hanging from the tree. This is also low-hanging fruit, so this could be like someone is seeking an opportunity. You know what I mean? Because the moon is very active, so it's very opportunistic in a sense, because it's switching signs very constantly, and Taurus is very much into that energy of having the opportunity to have something, or to gain something, or to secure something. This is something that was probably needed, and it is trying to give you a sense of balance. It also is telling you, you might be thinking of what's fair to you, what you feel like is fair to you. And you can also see that he's wearing some sort of like pentacle around his neck, and it's heavy. So it's almost kind of like he doesn't have a lot, but he's still willing to give something. You know what I mean? And that's that energy of Cancer being receptive, and Taurus being, kind of, they want to have things. But when Taurus knows how to also give, then that's why the moon is exalted in Taurus, because then it just uplifts everyone. Because what's the purpose of having an abundance without being able to share it and use the energy of that money in that way to give to others, to bring happiness and change into their lives, literally. Leo, your card for the second week of November is the Six of Wands. This is nice because this is actually your card, right? This is, maybe you're experiencing some kind of like growth in your heart, or, maybe your heart is growing, expansions of the heart, and this is also sort of like seeking some kind of growth, because Leo is ruled by the sun, and the sun is very, it's very active, right? It's very energetic, and it's always burning. It's always burning, right? So this is Jupiter, which is talking about like the consumption of things, right? So if it's burning and there's consumption, this is kind of like it's just taking some kind of attention to something, right? And it's a 6, so then it's kind of like related to like some sort of like balance or some sort of like rhythm, right? It also is even talking about just your body, like what are you digesting, like what's happening, right? Because Leo is very happening and Jupiter is very happening, so I think a lot of people or others might be seeing what's happening. So I think that you might just be like dealing with people that have their focus or their attention brought on you. You know what I mean? These people are literally watching somebody walk away, you know what I mean, or walking in front of them. So it does talk about leadership here, right? And it does talk about responsibility, and definitely responsibility. And this person seems like they have sort of like an obligation, it seems. There is some wisdom in this card, so there might have even been something learned, right, on this journey. And this card definitely has like kind of maybe like a knight or like a chariot type of energy here to me, because it really is talking about movement. It really is talking about change, because it's a 6, and that's related to the 6th house of Virgo, and Virgo is an earth sign that talks about change. So this is kind of like change for the better, or change for the good, or just change period, it's a very spirited card, right? So there's some sort of like passion here. It's definitely talking about passions of the heart with the red and the green there, right? There's third eye on the horse, so this is talking about some wisdom, right, that is coming from like some sort of like divine place. It's kind of like a mystical place, right? It wants to almost be kind of like Neptunian, right? And Neptune would only rule the 6th house if you were probably like a Libra, perhaps. You know what I mean? But the 6th house is Virgo. So what's the 6th house from Leo? That would be Capricorn. So you might even be dealing with a Capricorn, or you might even be dealing with a situation that perhaps is, dealing with that type of energy of feeling probably oppressed, right? And coming from that, this is like the opposite of that, you know what I mean? Which is actually quite good. You might even be moving on to something better. You have your attention set on something, and also this is like a positive yang energy, if you will, okay? Attention, Virgo. This is your card for the second week of November. This is the Ace of Wands, and this is talking about, potency of action, right? So what are you doing? You're getting something started, or something is underway, and it has a lot of energy behind it, a lot of force, right? This is attention to detail, because it's you, Virgo, and it is the Ace of Wands, so you definitely are kind of like getting the attention to the detail of something, and you're understanding that you're just at the beginning, right? You're at the beginning steps of making something happen, right? There's an opportunity for you to do more here. You just have to kind of like take this action, this act of having this wand, this moment, right? Because it really is talking about grasping the moment, you know what I mean? Also, some of you guys might even be holding your breath, right? You might be holding your breath in terms of something, because you feel like you might even be taking a leap by being available for this opportunity that is placed in front of you. You know what I mean? Where are you going from here? That's what we're thinking about. What do I do from here? What happens now? What happens next? And the Ace of Wands is just telling you that you have the power to control, right? Because the aces are related to the first house of Aries, and that's the sun and that's Pluto, right? And it's also Mars. So it is talking about power. It is talking about authority. It is talking about will. It is talking about creativity. It is talking about career. It is talking about how you see yourself. You know what I mean? All of those things, Virgo. And how you see yourself as somebody that wants to make things better, right? You want to be of service. You're trying to see how this can serve you and if it's even worth it. You know what I mean? Because the first house does talk about the idea of self, and that is, self-worth. The idea of self is self-worth, right? Because you're bringing yourself into some sort of, some sort of value, even just in the mind. Because like if you're here, then you're worth something, right? So it's kind of like, if this opportunity is here, then what can I do with it? Because it is worth something. You're seeing it, right? Take the opportunity or just do it. You know what I mean? Stop worrying so much about whether or not it's going to start from the right place. Really, it just is about getting started. And that's what the Ace of Wands is talking about, getting started. So there's growth here. Libra. Your card for the second week of November is pretty good. You got the Four of Swords. You got Jupiter in Libra. This is interesting because this is sort of like mental assertion, right? And this is also talking about the psychological process of something that has come to a completion, or this is a process that has completed itself. And this is almost kind of like you might even be feeling a little stern, or there might be some sort of like tension in your mind, so you feel like you need to fall back from something, right? The growth of the awareness, right? Your awareness of something has grown, right? And expanded. So you are trying to assert some level of psychological awareness to what has happened, right? Because it is Libra, and Libra's talking about change. It's a very active sign. So you're very active in your mind right now, right? Because it is a 4 and it's related to the Emperor, right? It's also related to the 4th house of Cancer. So it's like your mind and your emotions are being, your emotions might be being stirred up. And you have to take a little bit of a step back, right, in your mind, okay, because it is talking about distance, right? Because look at this person, they're like up on a mountain, and it's funny because I'm like in the mountains right now, and I'm a Libra, and he's sitting on the tree and he's thinking, he's in a thought process, and he's thinking very, stern, right? He has a very stern look on his face, and this is something of leadership, right? Completion. It's like you're working out some sort of details to bring something into form or to bring something to completion. You know what I mean? You might even be having to do something in a way that is different than you, like 180, because it is a 4 and Aries is the sign that is opposing you. So you might be feeling some opposition that you're falling back from, Right. And then it's also just talking about, how strong are you in your mind, right? How strong are you in your knowledge? What do you actually know? You know what I mean? So you might be trying to consider that which you know and that which you may not know, right? Because Libra is trying to figure things out. So there is something to be said about not having all of the information if you're trying to figure it out. You see what I mean? So there's something there with that as well. And the 4 is related to the 4th house. So some of you could be, thinking about the home. Some of you could be thinking about the mother. Or some of you could just be thinking about how you feel within a social situation, right? Okay, thanks, Libra. That was my foot. Happy birthday, Scorpio. And what luck. You got the Sun card, okay? You could be dealing with an Aries, or a couple of them. Or you could even be dealing with the Leo, right? you might even be dealing with an Aries or a Sag, right? So there's a lot of fire in this card itself. This is vitality. This is feeling youthfulness, right? And the sun is actually in your sign. There's some wisdom here, you know what I mean? I feel like you may have learned something. There's some kind of transformation, you know what I mean, that you might be feeling, that you're going through, and you're loving it. You know, it's weird that you have the sun here because Mercury is literally retrograde in your sign right now. You've got Venus in your sign right now. I think she's towards the end. So Venus, Mercury, and the sun, right? But the sun also has a relationship with the two planets that also have a relationship with Pluto in terms of you. You know, and the sun is also talking about career because it's number 19 and that's a 10. So it's going to that 10th house of career advancement, right? Of money, of being able to, you know, you might be proving yourself to someone or something, right? Or you might be seeing the proof, right? The proof is in the pudding. You know, and you could be harping on something definitely with this being the sun card because I was talking about the sun earlier and I said how it just burns and burns and burns and burns and burns and burns. You know what I mean? So that is kind of like, you know, harping, right? By just continuously putting energy towards, you know, that same direction. And this is talking about direction, right? You might even be feeling like you're going, you have a multitude of directions that you could go in, right? Because it is 10, and I did say that the 10th house is Capricorn, but the 10th house is also the Wheel of Fortune, which is Jupiter, and it's talking about opportunities to expand and to grow, right? And to just kind of like do what you love, do what you will, you know what I mean? Because the sun is talking about your will. It is talking about travel. It is talking about, you know, maybe even feeling like that hamster wheel type of energy, and that sort of correlates to the sun constantly burning, you know what I mean? So yeah, you're feeling really good, Scorpio. It's your birthday season. Even though Mercury's retrograde, we only have about 12 days until we go into the stationary direct phase. And then I think Mars is actually going to go into your sign by the end of the month. So we have that to look forward to. Just don't be too crazy when you get Mars in your sign because it does rule you. And, you know, Mars is pretty crazy. And you might be too, Scorpio. Okay. Sagittarius, you got the King of Pentacles, and this is Taurus, and 1/3 Aries. You see that fire in the background? Okay. And then that's also the warthog from, or the boar from the Strength card. Okay. So you might even be dealing with a Leo. You could even be dealing with a Scorpio. I don't even know why I'm saying that. Oh, well, actually, Scorpio opposes you, right? So you could be feeling some sort of opposition from a Taurus or an Aries, right? Also, Sag, you are thinking about, you know, how your thoughts or your perspective has changed about work. You're feeling really good in terms of, you know, money. You're feeling very secure because Taurus is a sign that really likes to feel, you know, secure in what they have. Do they have everything they need? You know, Taurus is also talking about, you know, beliefs and what you allow, right? So your beliefs have gotten you to a place of feeling really good and comfortable and secure, right? Because there's comfort in this card as well. There's also a responsibility, you know what I mean, to be very truthful and honest with yourself about what you need and what you want. I don't know why I'm saying that. Because you are Sag, and the King of Pentacles is Taurus, and Taurus does have an appetite, and Sagittarius does have an appetite as well. And this is kind of like the appetite that constantly is there, right? Because you do still have that boar from the Strength card, and the Strength card is number 8. That's the 8th house. That's Scorpio. Desire, burning desire, and that's opposing this card. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I feel like there's something going on with like some sort of burning desire, you know, because King of Pentacles, Taurus, that's sensuality, right, Sagittarius? So this is probably you being sensual with someone, or maybe even romantic with someone, right? With this the board that's from the Strength card, right? Because the 5th house is Leo and the Strength card is Leo, and that's romance, right? So this is definitely something going on with a burning romance, and sensuality is here, and this is probably like something that has gotten to this point right? Where it has fully substantiated, or it has gotten into its manifestation. You've definitely manifested something, okay? Capricorn. I said that really hard. This is your card for the second week of November. I only said it like that because this is the Ten of Pentacles. And you rule the 10th house, right? And also, this is Mercury in Virgo. Virgo is another earth sign, just like you. So we're trining energy now. There's some harmony here. This is the wealth card, okay? This is like money. You know what I mean? This is stability. This is something that you have built, something that you've cultivated, and something that, you and other people can admire. This is bringing focus to the career. So you might be building something bigger. You might be expanding. You might be changing the place that you live, meaning like going from one place to another, because it is a 10. So some of you guys could be moving. This is also the awareness of responsibility, right? Because when you build something that grows and gets larger, the responsibility grows as well. So this is kind of you bringing some awareness. You're thinking about the responsibility that you have, right? In terms of like what you might be doing or what your goals are, because the 10s are related to Jupiter, right? The Wheel of Fortune, and that's goal oriented, so it's kind of like you have these goals and maybe even these expectations, because Virgo has a lot of expectations, right? You could be thinking about what you expect, because Capricorn does expect. It is the executive energy, and it expects a lot. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, look at what I've built here. Look at what I've done. Let's go ahead and, I was getting a text. It's saying, let's all look at where we can contribute, right? Because it's Virgo, yes, and we're talking about being of service, and we're talking about Capricorn building something. So then there's going to have to be a lot of people that are going to be able to, that are going to have to service this thing. I'm thinking staff. Somebody's thinking about building, like their staff, right? Or maybe this could even have to do something with like a bureaucracy, or it could have something to do with like an office. You know what I mean? Maybe you guys might be changing jobs, right? You might have gotten a promotion in your office, right? Or you could be building your office staff because you have created some type of job environment, some sort of work environment, some sort of institution or something. And when we get into institutions, that's Taurus energy, and that's another earth sign. So now we're getting in some energy that's trining. This is working. This is also saying that you need to be able to see many different realities within one. Okay? Aquarius, are you finally doing what I've been asking you to do for months, or suggesting? Okay, this is going to be your card for the second week of November. 3 of Wands. This is Sun and Aries. And this is talking about, getting the opportunity, doing something with it to see where it went, doing more of that, right? Because you had to reflect on what needed to be done to get more out of it. And now you're seeing where that work is, what it's bringing to you, what you're getting out of it. You're waiting for something to come back to you. You're waiting for a return. It's a 3, so it's related to the Empress, and she's sitting there waiting for something that she has gotten started that needs to complete. So we're waiting for the 4th wand to come in to give us that sense of completion and satisfaction. The 3s are talking about the satisfaction of knowing that your actions, have gotten you what you feel like you deserve. Okay? We really are dealing with that. And I could keep going, right? I will. I could stop there because that was basically all I needed to say to you. But, some of you guys could be waiting for like a due date or having a baby or something like that. This could also even be talking about hearing about, an apartment, or hearing about a home situation or something like that. Some kind of environment that you're trying to start or get going, right? You may even be feeling a little bit anxious because it's a 3 related to the 3rd house of Gemini, and that's talking about nervousness. So some of you could be nervous about, getting something, being accepted, right, with something, getting that job, or getting that, that gig, right? If some of you are out there, creative people that do things, and audition or whatever it might be. But you definitely are waiting for something something to happen, and it's almost like you can't do any more than you've already done, right? And that's why you're anxious and perhaps nervous. For some of you, that might not be true. Maybe there is more that you can do because the threes are talking about multiplicity, you know? So there is more you can do. There is some more nurturing for some of you. You could even just kind of like uh, nurture what already is. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you can't do anything about what anybody else is doing or how they respond. Oh, right? Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. Pisces, this is your card for the second week of November. It's the Five of Wands, and this is Saturn in Leo. This is talking about conflict within an institution or within a group of people, okay? And this is kind of like everyone's ego getting the best of them, and maybe everyone trying to get their point across. You know, everyone's will is strong, but no one is really listening or paying attention to the other person. You know, it's kind of like everyone trying to talk at the same time, everyone trying to get, the attention drawn to them. It's kind of saying also if you work together instead of working against something, you know what I mean? Because this energy is squaring, right? Being that it's a Leo card, but it has that energy of the Hierophant, which is Taurus, and that's a square. So that's talking about tension that's being created here. You know, we need to try to bring more harmony to whatever this situation is, yeah, it could definitely be with work. It could be with someone that you trust at work, perhaps, or you could be having conflict just with someone that you maybe always have conflict with. You know what I mean? It could be that type of situation. Yeah, I'm gonna also say just kind of like believe in yourself, you know what I mean? Because this does have a card of like jealousy too, because there's so many people actively trying to be noticed that jealousy is like, only natural, right? And that's kind of why this is happening, because someone is jealous at work, right? This could be that, Pisces. Or, this could just be kind of like, you having some conflict surrounded by work because there might have been some changes that happened, right? Or you didn't want to see, or you're preventing a change from happening. You know what I mean? You could just be stuck within some situation, right? And you want to see something change. You want to see this missing puzzle piece be put in, or you want to see something taken out so that it's not like a stick in the wheel, because this card does have that kind of like stick in the wheel energy. Okay.